And welcome back to the Hot Lap. We are talking Donington Park, the BTCC 3 events left, Donington, Silverstone, and then the finale at Brands. But this is all about Donington Park, a supposedly two-horse race between Tom Ingram and a certain Ashley Sutton. But also, Josh Crook returns. More on that in a bit. So much to talk about, so little time. It is a race week, round 8, Donington Park. As I mentioned, just 3 of those glorious rounds left. But let's start with slightly sad news. One Motorsport is no more, at least for 2025. We're going to have our fingers very much crossed for 2026. This is the team statement. It reads, saying after careful consideration, One Motorsport has determined that it will not participate basically in the 25 season. Difficult decision has been made, they're saying, on several factors, including the current health of the team owner, Steve Dudman, as his involvement and support remain key in multiple areas. They go on saying we're now primarily turning our focus on their 2026 campaign, strengthening it for future operation. Let's hope that's true and not just a bunch of gobbledygook. Fingers crossed, because I really hope they are back. Success and longevity of the team and its race cars. This will be achieved through reinforcement of current commercial and technical partnerships, along with securing new partners. Yes, that hasn't happened yet. That's the issue, isn't it? They also say we would like to thank our partners, supporters and loyal fans, of which we are one, for their incredible ongoing support and backing this year. We're going to have our fingers crossed that, let's be fair, one of the nicest liveried cars and nicest looking cars this year are sadly not going to be seen for the rest of the season. That is a massive shame, but there is hope, because Josh Crook, yes, he was loyal to One Motorsport. Now, well, he doesn't have to be, does he? They're not going to be there. He returns to the driving seat at Toyota Gazoo Racing UK. He said, I'm really excited to be returning to the track in Toyota. I'm very much looking forward to working alongside the whole crew and my teammates. And I think it's just, is it Mr. Brolin is sadly stepping aside. So who has to replace? Well, yeah, it is sadly Mr. Brolin. So, on the good news, I think this is quite cool. Do you recognise this? This is a classic Valvoline. Yes, it is Napa Racing. In another, these guys are on fire with their liveries, haven't they? They had the black and yellow, and then the tartan on their race suits, and now they've got this very sexy livery. I mean, look at this. It looks wonderful. I think they'll do well, and they're going to have to. Why? Because they got a very fast Tom Ingram, who's got a nice bit of history at Donington this year. We'll get into that in a bit as well. Also, talking of Tom Ingram and his team, Vertu Accelerate, has confirmed that they signed a new multi-year deal with the BTC outfit. That's a Vertu, so they're going to continue sponsoring them, which is very good. A healthy partnership, healthy partners in the BTCC. That is exactly what we need to stop things like One Motorsport. Yes, I know the owner was a bit ill, but I can't help but thinking, reading between the lines, there's something to do with money there. I'm sorry, but I think it's true. So, Donington GP timetable. Let's have a look at that, shall we? So, Saturday, the 30th of August, we start 9:30 for practice, 11:50 practice 2, and then it's just before 3:30, 15:25, we've got qualifying. Now, Sunday, the big day you don't want to miss, 11:30 race 1. Race 2 is 2:15 and 16:45, or 5 to 5, or 4:55 if you will, is race numero 3. This is currently the drivers' standings. So as we look at them going into Donington, we have the man who won 4 wins. Is nice, Tom Ingram, and he's a bit further away from Ash Sutton, within 20 points. So most certainly, Ash Sutton could very much be leading the championship coming out of Donington. That's how close it is. Now, Dan Camish has pretty much given up on title hopes, sadly, with just his 1 win to his teammate Ash Sutton's 5 on 228. But he is in a fight for third with Dan Raybottom. Jake Hill pretty much out the running, but he could be a danger. Now, I know the BMW was not particularly good at Donington last time. I said it and I'll say it again. I was eating humble pie at Brands Hatch, where it did fare very well, like Knock Hill as well, with that tight, small circuit. However, I still think they're missing Colin Turkington. I know, but I still think they're missing Colin Turkington. So, when we look at the results, though, of Donington Park last year, FP1, let's go to qualifying, and it was Dan Camish and Ash Sutton, in spite of the fact that Tom Ingram was looking very, very nice. But then race 1, we had Ash Sutton and Tom Ingram. Race 2, Ash Sutton and Tom Ingram. Is this even the right year? Yeah, 2020, and race 3 with Tom Chilton and Tom Ingram. So Ingram very, very fast when you look at the actually look at the practice, but also Ash Sutton going very well here as well. But when you look, I can't help but feel those practice times and this track is going to maybe favour the likes of Tom Ingram. I know it just, that car looked so fast at Donington last time, and well done for Ash Sutton for beating him. Anyway, I digress, because we are on the GP circuit, which essentially adds a few corners, most certainly 2 extra straights in there, where we have the Fogarty S's and the Melbourne hairpin, and essentially Goddards rather than Roberts going in that last chicane here. Everything else is pretty much the same. But anyway, I digress. Let's get very much into that BTCC track. Now at Donington Park, it's absolutely mega important that you get a really good exit coming out that last corner. That is exceptionally important. Let's then carry on, shall we? So here we go into the last corner. We absolutely need to hone it down down the straight onto our first corner, which is going to be Redgate. Yes, this is going to be an overtaking opportunity as we turn into Redgate, and after Redgate it is Hollywood. Side by side here, normally you'd have the move done, but we have seen cars go side by side into Hollywood and then into the Craner curves. Here, even in our sim racing, this is really scary there on the left. And then we've got the old hairpin where you brake a tiny bit, then you want to accelerate because you're going up the hill. We have seen cars going side by side. We have seen past us here into Startski's Bridge and then Francis Curve, eventually into McLean's, which is, another decent braking point. Yes, these next 2 corners, both McLean's and Coppice, we do see cars side by side. Now, Coppice is just like in the Donington National. Coppice is exceptionally important, simply because it builds us up for that really long straight into those Fogarty S's, where once again there seem to be a decent amount of overtaking opportunities here, and this most certainly is one. Yes, you're going to have to trust the guy next to you as you go side by side into that chicane, through the aptly named Fogarty S's, now into the Melbourne hairpin. Again, another overtaking opportunity. They are aplenty here at Donington, but you're going to have to be the last of the late breakers as you go into here. Sometimes we have cars side by side trying to go on the outside as well, as we now get prepared for the final corner. That is Goddards again, potentially side by side. As I mentioned, another overtaking opportunity. Now, if you're going to do a qualifying, though, you need to take this really neat, and you want to, as early as you can, hit that throttle, but you don't want to be sliding. When you're sliding, unlike in rally, you're not going faster, you're going slower. And there we have it. There we have it then for Donington. Absolutely well done. So let's talk about Jake Hill then. Let's get into the drivers. So Jakey baby, yeah, he's not winning the championship this year, sadly. I mean, he had that one weekend where he wasn't feeling well away, but even with that weekend, I don't think he would have done. The car was not just there. The talent most certainly is, but they've got 2 rookies in there. Now, hopefully, they've gone through this painful year and they're going to keep all 3 drivers. If they're not going to re-sign Colin Turkington, they're going to keep all 3 drivers, because both his teammates are going to be that much more experienced for next year. So he's kind of like, I feel, a tiny bit handicapped here. But he could make a difference, although they struggled so much, didn't they, at Donington? So we're going to have our fingers crossed. Having said that, when we talk about this guy here, Dan Cammish, yes, he is 3rd in the championship, looking for 3rd. He's going to be helping his team at Ash Sutton. Now, what I'd like to say is, would you rather have a Tom Chilton, or would you rather have Dan Cammish? I'm probably going with Dan Cammish. I mean, this guy had pole in Donington last time out, didn't he? We were here. So I would prefer Dan Cammish which then, even though he's a few points behind, potentially puts a certain number 1 Napa Racing driver, this man, in a really strong position. He's got Dan Cammish, whereas Tom Ingram has very talented, but maybe not quite, Tom Chilton, and we know how good Ash Sutton can race. So moving on from then, the other man, Tom Ingram, I think he's going to come out this weekend looking better than Ash Sutton, sadly. Tom Chilton. How much is he going to help Tom Ingram? He has every potential for being up there. The sad thing is, I would bet more on a certain Dan Camish than I would a Tom Chilton. And also you've got Rowbottom as well, who's doing very well. And yes, they're going to be team orders. So I think Tom Ingram, even though I think he would probably finish the weekend coming out better than Ash Sutton, he's most certainly up against it with essentially 3 fast Napa racing drivers. It may well be a 3v1 going into that first race, going into the first corner. And if I'm Tom Ingram, I most certainly would be very nervous going into Donington. It's not over by a long shot, and I'm quite excited. So there you have it. Pretty much our prediction. Tom Ingram's going to do well, but he's going to have a massive fight on his hands with the Napa Racing boys. In terms of Jake Hill, I'm not sure how good that BMW is going to fare. Also, in terms of Josh Cook coming back in the Toyota, wouldn't it be great if he comes back and gets some podium? That's what I would like. Obviously, we've seen how much, for example, Gordon Shedden have been struggling in the Toyota, so nothing is guaranteed, but wouldn't that be a lovely present? A really decent haul of points. I'm looking forward to seeing Josh Cook again. But until then, if you made it to the end, please give us a subscribe. That would be absolutely amazing. If you're already subscribed, or you just click subscribe. If you want to help us a bit more, other than just watching it, which is more than enough for us, hit that like button. But until then, we'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much, and above all else, stay safe.